Well, hello. Are you looking for a thoughtful roundup on all the news of the week for the British royal family and their extended relations? Well, today I'm bringing you the latest news of the week so you can stay up to date on all the royals that you know and and food for thought. So this week we have some happy royal baby news. We have a Katherine sighting. We learned about a special hobby that the king and queen like to do together. We also saw Meghan and Harry on separate PR campaigns. We'll be talking about that. And honestly, I think Harry seems a little happier. Plus, they parted ways with another staff member who here's surprised. So please put some questions in the chat, and I'll save a little time later for a Q&A. Feel free to listen while you work, maybe listen on your drive, or simply stay for a chat. Welcome to the Swish live today, where together we explore classical femininity in royal trends, traditions, and lifestyles for an elegant and inspired life, live on Tuesdays. So let's start off with some fun news, if that sounds good. We got an insight this week into a hobby that the king and queen share. They actually consider it to be an obsession, and it's really rather cute and quite British, I think. It's in an all-new book by Queen Camilla's son, Tom, who shares that his mother and stepfather are really united in a particular type of hobby, mushroom foraging. Yes, apparently they are very competitive about their mushroom foraging. I think this is so cute, and it fits quite well with their love of nature and the outdoors. I don't know if you know this, but this actually is exactly what Charles was doing on the day that he learned his mother passed away. So he went for a forage on that day that we all remember so well at Balmoral, and he was in the car on the way back to Balmoral when he got a call that his mother has passed. So I'm sure this is a very special hobby for him and reminds him of that. This actually reminds me of a very cute little boy. Have you guys seen this cute little boy on Instagram? His name is Arthur. He goes foraging in the woods. Go check him out. It's adorable. He'll give you all kinds um, of training on what to look for in the woods, what kinds of mushrooms are good and edible, and bugs and all kinds of things. So I am sure that King Charles would love this little guy named Arthur. So make sure to go check him out on Instagram. And while you're on Instagram, y'all, we just launched our new Instagram called the Swish Magazine. So go follow on there. It's where all of our updates, the latest news is. It's where I share my research as I get ready for these things. So we also got an update about the king this week that during King Charles's tour of Australia and Samoa that's coming up later this month, he's actually going to pause his chemotherapy. And I think this is really, really great news that his doctors have signed off on him being able to take a pause. It probably means that he's doing a lot better, that he can, give and take a little bit, that he can actually travel overseas. I see this as a huge encouragement. And I think that we are going to see so many fun things on this tour. So I'm really looking forward to that state visit. I believe there hasn't been a royal tour there since Harry and Meghan's infamous tour there. So you know that you'll be here for all the updates. Now, it's also been revealed, this just came out. I think this is such a sweet story. Melania Trump wrote a book, and it actually came out today. It's her memoir, self-titled book called Melania. And she writes in there that she and King Charles are pen pals. I think this is so funny. They write letters back and forth to one another. They've had a long-standing relationship since 2005. You might wonder, what in the world do Melania Trump and King Charles have to talk about? Well, actually, probably a lot, and it specifically revolves around their love of the environment and conservation. This is something that's very close, obviously, to King Charles's heart and also to Melania. So whatever you think about her, I think she is so extremely beautiful and talented and poised. And she's honestly an amazing representation of classical femininity. And I'm so pleased that King Charles can see beyond the partisan issues and have a friendship with her. And she says that the royal family has welcomed her open-armed so warmly. And that's, of course, how the royal family is with so many people. So that's a wonderful story. We also got to see Or Prince William this week at several engagements, but specifically there was one where he helped open a community swimming pool. And here he's teaching life-saving skills of swimming. He talks about how it's very dangerous for many children in the UK and across the world who don't know basic swimming skills. So it's wonderful to see him opening this up again. He was accompanied by several Olympians from the 2024 Olympics, and this sparked the conversation about why William was not at the Olympics. And I think it's actually a sweet story. He was not there because he was with Katherine, who was at the time having chemo treatments. So I know from experience when you're around immunocompromised people, you really have to be careful who you're around because you could spread something to them. So I think it's so thoughtful that he didn't want to be around those big groups. Of course, he was still doing engagements at the time, but I think this was because it was a much bigger thing, of course, and those smaller engagements are a little bit more directed. So of course, it's family over everything for William. I love how he just prioritizes his marriage and his children. So I give him all the applause for that. We also saw a great new intro to a documentary that he's putting together. It's a two-part series coming out on ITV about homelessness. You'll know that this is something that Prince William has taken to heart his whole life, but recently he's launched the Homewards campaign, which is intent on fixing homelessness. We saw this short little clip. It was so insightful, and it was very casual, talking about where to look at the camera. We saw William Sans beard, which I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you like the beard or not. I tend to think it's great. We see a lot of people wearing beards professionally. I wonder what that's about. I'll have to look into that a little bit more these days. So this segment will air on ITV October 10th. Oh, pardon me, coming up on ITV in October, we believe. We don't quite know exactly when, but we know that he is shedding a light on this really important issue. And he's actually funding the solution for homelessness from his own resources. So I love that he's getting involved at a personal level. Now, let's talk about a woman who is taking Princess Anne her title potentially as hardest working royal. She's done an amazing job stepping up to the plate with Katherine being down, the king being down. Of course, the Sussex is leaving. She's done an amazing job. And she recently had a very cute engagement at St. James's Palace this week where she read a story encouraging children who have challenges with their sight. Now, this topic of sight is something that is very important and close to Sophie's heart. Her own daughter, Lady Louise, as you may know, struggled with esotropia, esotropia, which is where one of your eyes goes inwards. And so she had many surgeries. The first one was unsuccessful. Later when she was 13, she had a surgery and it helped her fix her eyes. But this is something obviously that Sophie's been through with her daughter. And so she is helping encourage children to wear their glasses and care about their eyes. And it's a sweet, sweet little story. So this will be airing on October 10th. There's that date to mark World Sight Day. So, of course, sight is a very important thing. We also just now are following the Malta tour with Edward and Sophie. They made their way to Malta the day before yesterday and have started a royal visit to mark 60 days of the island's independence. So I just adore Sophie. I think that she is such a great representation of classical femininity. I did a whole video on her and how she came from humble beginnings to this amazing part of the royal family. You can go check out that video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Now, this week, we had some wonderful baby news. I'm sure you've all heard about this, but Princess Beatrice and her husband are expecting their second child together, a little sibling for Sienna Elizabeth. This child, I believe, is going to be the 12th great-grandchild of Queen Elizabeth II. So it's sweet to see the family continuing to expand. I also love to see the little sweet messages from both Princess Beatrice's sister Eugenie and her mother, the Duchess of York, who were just so excited about this new little addition. And they're very clearly a tight-knit family, and they're committed to supporting one another, even after everything they've been through with her dad, and that's not helped their PR at all. So I'd love to see I've loved seeing the transformation of Beatrice and Eugenie from those awkward cousins at William's wedding with the funny hats to really coming into their own and supporting these brilliant causes. So I'm excited for this new addition, and also really pleased at how the royal family has embraced her stepson, Wolfie. They've really reinforced them as a family unit, which I love to see. Now, Katherine also made an appearance this week. It was a surprise, which is wonderful, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. She made a subtle surprise this week at Windsor Castle at the investitures that were happening, and they'd invited a young woman who was fighting cancer to come take photos of this event. And they didn't know that Katherine was going to be there. Her name is Liz Hatton. She's struggling with a terminal cancer, and she had a portfolio of photos that she started taking at the beginning of the year, and it really caught the eye of the Prince and Princess of Wales and their staff. And Liz's mother shared with the news that they've been calling Liz. I believe it was daily, but routinely checking in on her, seeing how she's doing. I love to see the way that the Prince and Princess of Wales are truly caring. They're not just saying, and this is not something that they're blasting everywhere or putting on reports. They are simply very concerned about Liz. And of course, as Katherine's gone through this is something that is near and dear to their heart. And I love to see these kinds of stories. Now, Katherine gave her a surprise meeting with her after the investiture and gave her a hug, which they shared to their socials here. And I think this is another example of Katherine's subtle introduction. This was, I suppose, technically her first engagement back since her cancer announcement. And it reminds me of how she reappeared at Trooping the Color. She picks these moments where it's not about her. It's not like it's her big debut, her big return. Even with the video announcing her cancer update, it was about her family. It was not about her. And so it really is a great display of the elegance principle of subtraction and how she returns to public life, but not as the center of attention. So, of course, that is a bit of what's been going on. We've got more to share, but let's talk about what's been going on with Harry and Meghan. It's been a bit of a PR nightmare over the last month, really, and we've seen the continuation of this over the last week. Many people are beginning to speculate if this is the beginning of the end for Harry and Meghan. I have some thoughts on that. I've done a little research, and I want to share that with you today. So, whatever is the real status of their relationship, the glued together couple has taken a separate approach over the last few weeks when it comes to duties. Whenever they're together, they cannot keep their hands off of each other. But recently, they've taken a different approach, I think, to help with their public relations image. So Harry, as we talked about on our most recent live stream, finished his UN week in New York, and it was expected that he would come home. He loves to be with his kids, but he then went to London. It was announced for the Well Child Awards. And despite all of the fights in court to have security, he was just fine. He didn't see any of his relatives, his father or his brother. There was no interaction with them. And we kind of expected that he would turn around and fly home because it'd been about a week and a half. However, he popped right up in his favorite country, which I tend to think was probably a real blessing to him, because this is the place that he went after his mother died. He's talked extensively about Lesotho being a haven for him, a place where he's been adopted in. He has an extended family there. He spent a lot of meaningful time there. And it's honestly really surprised me that he has not taken his wife to experience this with him. It's his favorite place in the world. So after he went to the Well Child Awards, he flew to Africa and spent time there. And I have mentioned this before. I think that this should have been the place that they moved to after they stepped down as working members of the royal family. This would have been part of their charity. This would have been something that Harry would have felt at home. Meghan may not have been able to do her production work, but that was something that she mentioned she was going to be letting go after taking part in the royal family, which we all know has not turned out that way. But I believe that they'd moved to Lesotho or South Africa. That would have been a really great move for them. Now, Harry spent several days there, and oh, let me go back. Several days there, and presumably he has since flown back home. And he didn't accompany Meghan at the Children's Hospital LA event on Saturday night, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But many reporters are arguing that this is a strategic PR resuscitation plan to help Harry really be reinstated in a place that he has his best foot forward. Most photos lately are of him looking so sad, looking downcast when he's with his wife. It's very strange. But this PR strategy would be putting them in the places where they feel the happiest and where they can thrive. So I've heard this strategy called a professional divorce, which is something that may be leading to another type of divorce. But it's an interesting strategy that is clearly putting them in the zones where they are best suited. So Harry, with his charity work with Travelist, African Parks, with these initiatives, he really is best just shaking hands with people. I don't know what that really says about his talents or skills, but that is really where he shines and where he's been beloved for years and years. So I think putting him in that vein is good. It's really helpful. But Meghan then is kind of divorced from that because she has no interest in that. So it can cause some serious strains on a marriage when you're not in alignment. And I don't know how long that's going to last if they continue with this professional divorce strategy. If you think that this is going to go on for a while, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know how long you think that this relationship would last based off of the projections that we're seeing right now. Now, Meghan is still working on rebuilding her brand, as we've seen the fallout of the bullying claims and her response over the last month. Her strategy seems to be that she needs to be seen as truly kind and charitable. And this is really her only path to getting some credibility back. And one of these strategies, it seems, is to be something that we saw implemented over the weekend, which was her appearance at the Children's Hospital of LA Gala. So let's talk a little bit about some connections as to why she was at this event and why it's an interesting appearance for her. Now, as she wrote about on the Sussex.com news updates, Meghan says that she's done many events and visited this hospital many times. I can only find one record of her doing any kind of public appearance with the Children's Hospital of LA where she read her book and had a film crew there covering this. That's the only thing that I can find. But she says that this is something that she is really passionate about and close to. And there's a clip of her interview from this weekend saying that she has many friends from high school who have children that have gone through this. Now, this night she was there with Kelly McKee Zafjan, excuse me. And what's interesting is she met Kelly through her ex-husband, Trevor Ingleson. So it's interesting to see Meghan re-engage with some of her old contacts now that she's back in LA. We saw this as a connection with her at a tennis event just the night before Harry's 40th birthday as well. But I want to pull up these pictures for you. Let me make this a little bigger real quick. Consider these photographs with me. I know that Meghan's into PDA, but this strikes me as a little bit much. She's all over her friend. And I don't know. I don't often see friends holding hands on the carpet, red carpet, or looking so coupley together. I don't know. It's just a little strange to me. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. This is a dress that she recycled from her 2021 appearance at the Veterans Award. She's removed the train from the back. And I personally love to see recycled items. I know that suit that Katherine wore in her recent appearance was something that she'd worn 3 times. And I love to see recycling. It's the elegance principle of sustainability. However, I just don't think this fits her correctly anymore. This was her wearing it at her appearance in 2021 and on Saturday night, and there's still some bunching. So I do wonder. It seems like it's been altered. She's lost some significant weight since then. Now, whatever I think about this styling, I do love the color. She looks really great in jeweled tones like dark purples, dark greens. Not, in my personal opinion, the beige that she really likes. I know that those muted colors are often more seen as elegant, as more high society, more old money, but you also have to look at your color. All of us have different colorings, and personally for Meghan, because she has that more olive skin and that darker hair color, she looks a lot better in jeweled tones according to color theory. So I think this is something that she could maybe learn from, that this is something that she should embrace a little bit more. Now, as for the design of the dress, I personally find it wildly inappropriate for a gala of this nature with children there. It's so low cut. It has a slit up the front, especially combined with the Costco logo behind her. I don't know if you can see that on that image. It really does not fit with the idea that she is trying to be a duchess and someone who's worthy of respect and wants to be seen as this great philanthropist. It just doesn't seem to fit for me. And really, if we're talking about elegance and classical femininity, as we discuss a lot on this channel, it's the elegance law of subtraction that is really not apparent here. So there have been a few reports about this night, and I did my own digging on this because there have been some reports that she just came and walked the red carpet and then left. And so I decided to do a Getty image sweep, trying to figure out if I could spot her. And a Getty image deep dive shows that there actually weren't any pictures of anyone inside the event. You can see here a little insight into what it looked like inside. I think it's really, really beautiful. You can see the table setting there. There aren't any name tags or anything like that, so there's not really any way to track exactly where she was sitting, although reports say that she sat with the guest of honor from the event, as well as I believe it was Jimmy Kimmel. I might be getting the Jimmys wrong there. So you tell me what happened in the comments if you believe that she snuck out late. Now, we do know that this wouldn't be the first time that she snuck out late. If you'll remember the Pat Tillman Award, where Prince Harry was awarded this honor. I have a whole video on that. Go watch my thoughts on that. They did leave early, and that was sad to a lot of these people who are trying to honor these great veterans. So I don't really know what happened here. I think it's probably a hearsay at this point, but you let me know what you think about that. Now, overall, Harry and Meghan's future is going to be very telling as to their relationship. There haven't been any big projects that Meghan's been able to get off the ground yet. And another staffer has stepped down. Her name is Ashley Hansen. She stepped down as their PR head after 2 years to start her own firm. Now, that's only 2 years. That's about the average of the turn of these staff members. Now, if she is the head of PR, it begs the question as to why she stepped down and started her business then. I'd imagine if she's trying to help them with PR, and reports are that she's going to keep them on as PR clients, why step down in the midst of a bullying scandal when you know that they already are under fire for having staff turnover? Would you let this be the time to announce that you are leaving and starting your own PR firm? So I think that's a little bit strange. And as they are reported to be clients, it seems that long gone are the days of Sunshine Sachs and WME. So you know that you can always get the updates and thoughtful analysis on royals and royal news from me here and on the angle of classical femininity. So let me know what you think. I'm going to hop into your questions here and we can discuss more about this. Claire says, I think they're desperate, gone right back to her D-list days. Is Harry going to admit that he was wrong? No way. Let me make this a little bit smaller here. Let me know if you have questions below and we can hop right in. Lizzie says, yes, that looks suspect for Ashley. However, I think she wanted out for more than a year after her operation, but then the other guy left. Interesting. Yes, they did have a guy that left just a month ago in the midst of these scandals. He only stayed for 3 months, if I remember correctly. So that is, they say it was a trial, but there's always a way to spin this. Lily says, I wonder how Kelly felt at not having a solo moment at the carpet. If you saw this clip, it's interesting. I'm going to take that down. It's interesting. Meghan walked across the red carpet, and then she came back, and then she walked back, and then she came back. So I find that a little strange. Since she married into the royal family, the hate towards PC has been off the chain. Is that Prince Charles? King Charles? Let me know. Sarah says, I'm not sure they will divorce. Harry left his entire life for her, even his upbringing. He was told 100% wrong. They have similar characteristics. Yeah, I personally think that if a divorce happened, it would not be from Harry. I think it would be from Meghan. You remember her old marriage, she mailed back the rings to Trevor Ingleson. So if that's the strategy she took last time, I would not be surprised if similar actions were taken here. I think Harry is desperate to protect his children. He spoke at length at the UN discussion for the Parents Network about his children, how they're the homeschooler on his phone. I think he is very concerned about them. There's also been reports recently about the tensions between Meghan and Harry in response to the way that they engage with their children. Meghan would like for them to be more front and center. Harry would like for them to be hidden and doing their life privately, which was the consideration when they left the royal family. So I would not be surprised to see a lot of conflict in the coming weeks and months between the two as they seemingly go off and create their own PR strategies. Oh, PC. Yeah, let me know what you mean by PC there. Meg has control of the kids in the USA, so will always control Harry. You know, that's what makes me very sad. I get very saddened at the thought of the upbringing that Lily and Archie are having. They have been divorced not only from, that's the wrong word. They've been separated not only from their families on both sides, both of their grandfathers, but they've also been separated from their legacy. They have an incredible legacy to tap into as prince and princesses of the United Kingdom. They are going to have no understanding, really, of what that world is like. They haven't really grown up in it. Lily's been there one time. And so they are going to have a very Americanized perspective on it. And so I'm very saddened by the way that that's been handled. You know, if they were just living in LA, that'd be one thing. If they were coming back frequently, I don't know if you guys know, but Eugenie raises her 2 sons, Princess Eugenie, half the time in Portugal. So it can be done. It's possible to have this balance, but I think there are some bigger things at play when you're having this discussion. Lizzie B says, why does Meghan stick her tongue out when she's doing a public outing? She did it again at the event. It's a great question. I can't think of a time where the classically feminine women that I admire stuck their tongue out. I think it's probably an effort to be relatable or funny or casual. I don't know. I think that's probably an American thing to just kind of like go like that. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I don't know. It just seems like she's not very professional in that way. So if I had to give any advice, don't stick your tongue out. It's also like this. Is that what she's doing? Well, yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, were there big names at this event? It was Jamie Lee Curtis who was hosting, who is I guess she's an A-lister. There were a lot of podcast connections potentially there that night. So that may have been a reason for her to go. Alrighty, friends. Well, I want to keep doing these on Tuesdays. It's really fun for me as I'm doing my research to kind of give you an update on what's going on with these smaller stories, things like Sophie and her reading and some of the engagements that they're doing. So let me know if you enjoy this type of breakdown where we just go over all the different things. Let me know in the comments below. And I'll be with you on Tuesdays around 1:30 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 p.m. British Standard Time, and we can go over all the latest royal news. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to click below and you can check out my Ultimate Elegance Guide. It breaks down those 4 principles that we talked about. Throughout this today, we talked about the symmetry law, we talked about the subtraction law, and you can learn about the other ones as well. Well, thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time.